down in Florida again. I don't know if I ever will be able to go down to Florida and visit the beaches and stuff, because this is what we're dealing with now. Okay? Stay out of Florida, carve it out. Florida is going to eliminate all childhood vaccine mandates in the state. Well, don't take it from me. You got to go to the experts, folks. The Florida Surgeon General had this to say.
The Florida Department of Health, in partnership with the governor, is going to be working to end all vaccine mandates in Florida law. All of them. All of them. Every last one of them is wrong and drips with disdain and slavery.
Sharon,
as the crowd, Senator, as the crowd really started revving him up, he got bigger. He went bigger with it. Looking like an absolute fool, sounding like one. He went bigger, Senator. Surgeon General Joseph Ladapo says Florida will ban all vaccine mandates. Florida will work to phase out all childhood vaccine mandates in the state, building, tearing it down. Building on the effort by Republican Governor Ron DeSantis to curb vaccine requirements and other health mandates during the COVID-19 pandemic. On the vaccine, State Surgeon General Dr. Joseph Ladapo. I said I wasn't going to do this, but just real one-word answer. Is he a real doctor? Is something, you know what I mean? I can marry people, and it didn't even take but 10 seconds on the internet where I was certified. Is he a real doctor? He is. Okay. We got to take him seriously then, I guess. Well, current requirements in schools and elsewhere, he says, they're immoral, an intrusion on people's rights, bordering on slavery. During a CNN panel, our co-host, the wonderful Senator Nina Turner, had this to say about his comments.
When we are as a community vaccinated, yes, we are less protected when we are not vaccinated as a community.
The two things that are really troubling in this whole debate is the fact that we do have to collectively make a certain level of sacrifice, and getting vaccinations are part of that sacrifice with a glorious outcome for the majority with a few exceptions. And to see the president, the leaders in Florida play political games of vaccinations, to see people cheer this on, not really understanding the full impact of what this is going to do for political expediency. And the second point, very irrational, irresponsible for him to compare people having to get vaccinations with chattel slavery. There are no other atrocities. They would never make that comparison when it comes to the Holocaust, but you want to make that comparison when it comes to chattel slavery. Wild. It is reprehensible.
That part. Again, this is why we love you. And I want to commend you for being able to comport yourself. You're just so graceful. Dr. Ladapo showed his whole ass. He showed his whole ass.
Yes.
And yet you gathered and disseminated valuable retort, and I appreciate it. And I want you to say more, but first, you were with other people on the panel. You're the star of it, I say. Same panel, Dr. Chris T. Purnell weighed in on the dangers of this policy.
So in Florida, approximately 88% of kindergartners have their full and complete vaccination. That is already below the recommended amount if you're going to achieve herd immunity. Yeah. If you take away the vaccine mandates, you're going to see that number plummet. When that number plummets, not only are households going to be infected and potentially get sick, but the most vulnerable people in those households, and those are children. Right, without mandates, we are not going to adequately protect our children. And we've already seen, let me finish. That's not bullying. We've already seen evidence is when we don't protect children, children are left susceptible to irrational decisions of adults. We have children in the United States dead from measles. That should not happen in 2025.
I got somebody for this. Blame the CDC for losing the trust of the American people.
Okay, you're wrong again. Okay?
No, I'm not.
You're
having this conversation because the American people don't
Let's
trust
talk about
the CDC.
political actors who started to spew intentionally misinformation
the CDC misled and lied to the American people during
which has led
shutdown
to
of the world.
confusion, has led to chaos, and has led to an unnecessary loss of life.
How upside down is this world? Dr. Fauci still being harassed. He saved the day. He educated us. And yet you have boneheads. I'm glad the sister filibustered. Just keep talking. Don't let him get a word out because it's going to be stupid. It sounds stupid. I know it's not a word you're supposed to really use. I tell my daughter that, but I don't know what other word to use. Florida would be the first state to eliminate so many vaccine mandates. Ladapo added that. Florida vaccine mandates for child daycare facilities and public schools include shots for measles, chickenpox, hepatitis B, diphtheria, tetanitis, pertussis, DTaP, okay? Polio, other diseases, according to the state health department's website. Under DeSantis, Florida resisted imposing COVID vaccines on school children, requiring passports for places that draw crowds, school closures and mandates that workers get the shots to keep their jobs. And here's the thing. I don't believe half the people that push out this political garbage forgo vaccines. I think they race to get it and maybe even skip the line to get it, particularly during the pandemic and COVID. This is tomfoolery. It's asinine. It's shenanigans. Only there's real life consequences for children. No more Disney World, no more South Beach, no more spring break. If I'm in Florida, I guess I'll have to, if I'm afforded the opportunity, homeschool. This is so dangerous, Senator. Make it make sense.
It is, Sharon. I cannot. And I applaud the team for pulling out those clips. Amen to what Senator Nina Turner said earlier. Mm-hmm. And Dr. Christy Purnell was all truth on that panel. I have so much respect for her. That was the first time I'd ever met her and been on a panel with her. And she really did the daggone thing. She and the sisterhood, just thank her for that. And we also had a conversation on that panel about how you have to substitute I for we. And when it comes to things like vaccinations, that's really what we're doing. It doesn't mean you can't question. It doesn't mean that maybe what we were as a country doing 20 years ago, 50 years ago needs to be reevaluated. But you don't just wholesale say that folks don't have to get vaccinations and stop conflating the COVID vaccinations and virus with these other viruses that have a long history, as the doc laid out, of saving lives. Those are two different things. And to use the excuse of people not trusting the CDC, Sharon, half these people didn't even know what the daggone CDC was until COVID. So just stop it.
I fear they won't. And let me add this before we go to break, Senator, something else that's ticking me off. I'm so tired of doctors who are senators on the Republican side of the aisle being praised for strongly questioning this Kennedy distant, they don't like to claim it, but he's a Kennedy. Yeah, RFK Jr., just wildly lying and foolishness. His mother apologized for his behavior. And the rest of the Klan doesn't want him at the compound. Okay, I don't want to hear any more about these senators being praised. You're a doctor and you voted for this guy in the first place. And now because you push back, but I didn't hear you call for his resignation yet. I didn't hear you go all the way on that and say, we got to do something here, rally the troops. So get out of here with that. Have integrity.